Thank you, Clive. I'm Amanda Harper. Welcome to Look North. On the programme tonight, feeding and entertaining children over the summer. The project's helping families who normally rely on free school meals.
I love it. Like, very, very healthy, and basically it makes you be like a lot more productive, and people will like it a lot more.
We join the children at a holiday club near Thirsk. Also tonight, firefighters are tackling a blaze on the North York moors. People are being told to avoid the area. The rising cost of fish. Our takeaways and restaurants say they're struggling to stay in business with unrealistic price hikes. We meet the 12-year-old boy heading to the US to play in the Pokémon World Championship.
And it could be the hottest day of the year so far. Tomorrow, many spots around 32 degrees. Join me for the very latest forecast.
Good evening. Well, we're about halfway through the school summer holidays, and it can be a challenging time for parents who have to find time off work or money for meals that might normally be free at school. In West Yorkshire, over 100,000 pupils qualify for free school meals, with Bradford and Leeds having the largest number of pupils eligible for the scheme. In South Yorkshire, Sheffield has the largest amount of pupils who qualify for free school meals at 29,000. And in Derbyshire, there are just over 30,000 children. And 19% in North Yorkshire, so almost 1/5 of children are also eligible. Well, a programme which provides free sports activities and packed lunches for children during the summer holidays has been described as invaluable by families. North Yorkshire Council's Feast scheme is free for pupils who are eligible for free school meals, and other children can also take part, as Carla Fowler reports.
Summer or not, it's lunchtime at Sowerby Primary School in Thirsk. These children are at a holiday session delivered through Feast, North Yorkshire Council's programme of support and activities. It's open to all children, but free for those on free school meals. The children learn about healthy living through sports and games and exploring food.
Thank you.
We are running a course today with 30 children. The sessions are running for 4 days a week for 4 weeks of the summer holidays in various areas throughout North Yorkshire. 6 weeks is a long time for these children, and to have the free school meal, to allow them to be fed, to get away from the computers and outside and have a good run around in the fresh air is invaluable. And I hope this funding continues, because these children and these parents need that support.
Funding currently comes from central government, guaranteed until the end of 2025. But these children are clear about the benefits of being here in the holidays.
I love it. Like, very, very healthy, and basically it makes you be like a lot more productive, and people will like it a lot more.
I had a ham sandwich, a yoghurt and some party rings, and I'm going to have an orange.
Sounds very healthy. Do you enjoy it?
Yeah. I made a cucumber and cheese sandwich with crackers.
Is it nice?
Yeah.
Physical challenges make the children move and think, but mostly it's about having fun.
I like coming here because there's lots of fun stuff to do, like cricket, dodgeball, football. And there's a piano and stuff, and there's also obstacle courses and tyres.
Healthy living can be thirsty work. As the cost of fresh fruit and vegetables seems ever increasing, it's hoped these children will take lessons learned here home with them as healthy habits. Parents really value this resource and want to see it continue.
She really does enjoy it, because I'm a single dad as well, so it really helps having this here for her to come. She's very sporty, so she needs to eat well as well, and the pack-ups seem to be really good here. She loves it every time, so she always wants to come.
Steady. Throw.
Over 100 providers across the county are currently delivering feast sessions, and there are still paid and unpaid places up for grabs. Carla Fowler, BBC Look North, Thirsk.
Looks great, doesn't it? Well, councils across Yorkshire have similar schemes of their own. Earlier I spoke to Councillor Helen Hayden, Executive Member for Children and Families at Leeds City Council. I started by asking her how important schemes like this are for families during the school holidays.
Schemes like health holidays are extremely important for children and their families. 6 weeks is a long time, and when you're a family that relies on free school meals during term time, 6 weeks without that help is extremely difficult. Activities cost money, but we work really hard in Leeds to make sure that all families have free or low cost activities to participate in.
Yeah, and it's not just about food, is it? These clubs offer activities too. Have you seen an increase in a need for this?
Well, yes. Especially since COVID, since people stopped being able to interact with each other. So this scheme is all about children taking part in activities they may never had the chance to try before, interacting with each other, making new friends, building relationships with their own family and friends that they establish friendships.
What else can be done to support families through the school holidays?
Well, our child-friendly package supports all families in Leeds, and if you go on the child-friendly website, there are, and every day there is something low cost or free to able to participate in, not just in the city centre, although that's really, really good fun, but across the city.
And that's just in Leeds. Thank you very much. It's great to know. Yeah, it's great to know there's some things out there for kids to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you can find out what your local authority has on over the holidays by looking on their websites. Next tonight, firefighters are tackling a blaze on the North York moors. It's believed the fire started 24 hours ago and crews have been at the scene since. People in the local area are being asked to keep their doors and windows closed, and our reporter Lizzie Steele is here for us now. Lizzie, what can you tell us?
Well, we know that fire crews were called at around yesterday evening at about 6:30 to Langdale Moor, which is near RAF Fylingdales. It spread significantly. It's now classed as a large moorland fire. You can see huge amounts of smoke billowing up from a substantial area and flames licking around the edge there. The ground, of course, is extremely dry, which means it can move quickly. The fire service says the blaze actually jumped a fire break that they had put in place yesterday. 7 crews are on the scene. They're expected to remain there for some time because it's measuring 300 metres by 300 metres. The wider impact so far has been that the North Yorkshire Moors Railway Service has suspended its steam services. They say that's to reduce the risk of a line-side fire and to reduce the impact on the fire service. As you say, the fire service are telling people to close their windows and doors. We've got all the latest news for you on this on our BBC News app and website, and any further developments we'll bring you on the Late Bulletin tonight.
Lizzie, thank you very much. Dramatic pictures there. Now, the parents of Harvey Wilgus, the 15-year-old boy who was murdered at a school in Sheffield, say his killer should be publicly identified. Because of his age, the 15-year-old who fatally stabbed him can't be legally identified unless a judge chooses to lift this restriction. Harvey's parents spoke to the BBC this morning about naming their son's killer. Michelle Lyons reports.
Harvey Wilgus was just 15 when he was murdered at school on his lunch break by a fellow 15-year-old pupil. He was stabbed in the heart with a hunting knife at All Saints Catholic High School in February. His killer, pictured here and marked in green, was found guilty of murder by a jury on Friday. But because of his age, legally he can't be identified. Speaking to the BBC this morning, his parents called for the judge to lift that restriction, saying Harvey's name has been tarnished throughout the trial.
People have speculated that Harvey was the bully. Harvey hasn't bullied anybody. That lad stood in that dock and said Harvey was his friend. His relationship with Harvey, up until that weekend, he was his friend. And Harvey hasn't been here to speak up for himself, and he's been named, so I think the defendant should as well.
Since Harvey's death, his family have campaigned heavily against knife crime, marching through Sheffield, setting up a youth club called Harvey's Hub, and calling for knife arches to be installed in schools.
Children know that there's knives in schools. They told me, Harvey told us on that Wednesday of the lockdown, this is why I don't go to school, because children have knives in schools or people have knives in schools. and people are saying we don't want them in because it's frightening for the children. The children are already frightened.
Harvey was frightened and his life was cut short. A judge will decide whether to reveal his killer's identity when he's sentenced in October. Until then, his family say they continue their efforts to protect other children from knife crime. Michelle Irons, BBC Look North.
Some more news from around the region now, and a man's been found dead at a park near York. Police were called to Neyburn yesterday evening to reports of an assault on a woman. She had a serious head injury and was taken to hospital. They then searched for a suspect and found the man's body at a park nearby. Police say they're not looking for anyone else. A former hospital radio DJ has been jailed for 4 years for historic sex offences. Adrian Phipps, who is 66, was sentenced at York Crown Court after a jury found him guilty of 2 counts of indecent assault against a teenage boy. He'd earlier admitted 3 further charges of making an indecent images of a child. A college in York will be one of 10 across the country to train thousands of new construction workers. Leeds College of Building has been named as one of the government's new technical excellence colleges. It's part of a £100 million investment in building new homes, schools and hospitals while reducing the reliance on overseas workers.
I think it gives us opportunities to grow. One of our biggest challenges is to keep up with demand. The tech's purpose is to create 40,000 training opportunities up to 2029 to support the national skills shortages and also to support the government's pledge in terms of the 1.5 million homes. To do that, we need to train more. We need to create pathways into employment, into sustained employment for people. And I think the techs are a perfect way to do that. It allows us to explore new routes, create new opportunities and grow to match the demand.
Football news now, and Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Trust have announced that they will organise a further protest against the club chairman, Dapon Chansiri, ahead of this Saturday's home match against Stoke. In response to the chairman's failure to sell Wednesday to a new owner and in protest over his management of the club generally, a mock funeral procession will take place through Hillsborough Park before kick-off next to the stadium. It will be the second protest by Wednesday fans in successive matches after the one at Leicester on Sunday. Now you're watching Tuesday's Look North. Still to come on tonight's programme. How does your garden grow? We get tips on how to help those flowers flourish in a heatwave. Now that is making me, there it is, feeling a little bit hungry, to say the least. A fish and chip supper is a British institution, a meal that evokes a sense of nostalgia and comfort. But you've probably noticed the price has been soaring. Chip shops are trying to cope with huge fluctuations in the price of fish, with some saying the cost has doubled in the past 2 years. Olivia Richwald has been to Whitby for this report.
Going to the seaside for fish and chips is as British a tradition as a cup of tea. But what used to be a good value meal out is becoming increasingly expensive.
Well, we just had fish and it was £19 for 2.
£19 for just 2 fish?
2 fish.
How do you find that price?
That's quite expensive, really.
£12.50. I think that's okay, to be perfectly honest. It was lovely, it was good quality, it was fresh.
Were you happy with the price?
Well, it's a bit more expensive, but it's expensive wherever you go. We're from Hull, and it's just the same price as in Hull, so it's just a nice place to have them.
Good value for money, and the taste was delicious.
Can't complain.
Enough said.
Stuart has been running the Quayside restaurant in Whitby for 26 years. He says the price of his main ingredient, the fish, has rocketed.
Over the last 2 years, the price has doubled, so we pay a lot more now than we've ever paid. And that's due to a lot of factors, like they've just reduced the quotas in the Barents Sea for Iceland and Norway. And obviously the trade embargoes with Russia as well, because that obviously has a knock-on effect with what we do. And just general operating costs, I think, have increased in that. So overall, it has made a massive difference in our fish bills, really.
They've tried to bulk buy fish over the family chain of 5 restaurants and cut other costs, including their profit margins. A regular portion of haddock and chips in the restaurant here is £18.60.
It still is very much value for money. You think the price of cod is the same as a piece of steak. So are people going to be paying £20 odd for fish and chips, which obviously they won't. But I think people appreciate quality and appreciate the time and effort you do to source it. And if it's a quality meal and it's done right, people will pay, you know, the prices we're charging.
It's so busy here in Whitby that the fish and chip shops are fairly secure. But there are worries about the future of small independent fish and chip shops in local communities. 63% of them said they had reduced their workforce and 36% of them said they had reduced their opening hours. Visitors here might be surprised to know that whitefish are no longer landed in Whitby. Most of the vessels here catch lobster and crab.
Bridlington, Whitby and Scarborough are the three premier ports for shellfish in Europe. So our lobsters, nearly all of them go to the continent. 80% of the seafood we catch in this country is exported and 80% that we eat is imported.
So do you think that we should be eating more lobster here?
And definitely that people should go out and eat more lobster, lobster salad, lobster and chips, everything should be lobster orientated or crab.
Even though the catch here in Whitby has changed, the stomachs of a nation haven't, and many here are willing to pay a higher price for the taste of tradition. Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North, Whitby.
Oh, that looked good, didn't it? Now, if you felt the heat today, I'm afraid it's going to get even hotter tomorrow. Lovely if you like it, but not great news for plant lovers. Our gardens are parched, but at Yorkgate Garden in Leeds, they have plenty of advice for keen gardeners, like our reporter, Kathy Killick.
Like almost every gardener I know, I'm finding this summer a bit of a chore. There's a lot of hand watering involved because of the hosepipe ban. And I do love my pots, but I'm starting to wonder, is there maybe a better way? Luckily, I know just the person to ask.
At Yorkgate Garden in Leeds, they too have been watering frantically. Jack Ogg is the manager here, and while this set of pots needs daily watering, he's trying something else to save a bit of labour.
These two pots, the lion pots either side of the entrance here, we've put in aloes and aeoniums and created a succulent display that only needs watering every 2 weeks or so, so nowhere near as much as the standard pot display.
And that's not all. It's some years since they built their drought garden, but with the increasingly dry summers, it's really starting to pay off. Instead of soil, there's sand and grit. But put the right plants in, and they thrive.
Well, this looks good, Jack. You've got a lot of colour here.
I think this is probably my favourite section of the sand garden. We've got some really interesting plants in here, interspersed with tender cactuses. We plant them out in April. It's a painful, spiky job, but it's a nice thing to do and gives us an amazing desert effect.
You can see that clearly from above, and it contrasts sharply with the lush greens we're more used to in the rest of the garden. But at ground level, you can clearly see signs of plants under stress. So what are Jack's top tips for gardening in the dry?
I think it's slightly cliche, but it's the right plant for the right place. If you have to water, the best time to water is probably in the morning and in the evening. You need to put plenty of water on so it gets deep down to the root system, basically. If you water a tiny bit, it's just watering the surface and then it evaporates and it's gone.
A good thick mulch helps too. This is usually a job for autumn or spring, but if you spread it over well-watered soil now, it helps keep the moisture in. Every drop is precious, but with thoughtful husbandry and a bit of forward thinking, a drought can still leave plenty to please the eye. Kathy Killick, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Ooh, some fabulous gardening tips there from Kathy. Well, Paul joins me now. Paul, it's the fourth heat wave. How long is this going to last?
It is extraordinary, you know. I mean, tomorrow could well be the hottest day of the year so far. We've got to beat 32.3 degrees that was recorded in Bramham in July. We could well exceed that tomorrow. So it's, you know, it's pretty hot stuff. And it looks as though it's going to stay predominantly dry for at least another week. We may well start to see some kind of a breakdown just in time for the bank holiday weekend, but really, from a forecast point of view, it is dry for 7 to 10 days. There's no end.
And we know the impact it's having on us, but what about the environment?
Well, it is starting to have quite an impact on the environment. Last week we did Farm Watch, of course, and I went to speak to a farmer. It looks like this harvest could well be the worst on record, simply because it's been so dry and the yield of the crops are so low. Reservoirs, we're a month into the hosepipe ban. Yorkshire Water, on the one hand, are quite pleased that demand has dropped by 10%, they say, as a direct result of this hosepipe ban, but reservoirs continue to fall. That Scarhouse Reservoir, it's a reservoir that feeds water into Bradford. Overall, reservoirs are 42.2%. They should be 75%. But, you know, the local environment's suffering. I just want to show you a bog in Askham near York, which in autumn is like that. It's wet, it's flooded. If we fast forward to now, it's completely dried out. So there's clearly quite a serious impact of this prolonged drought on wildlife and the local ecosystems. I spoke to the Yorkshire Wildlife Trust about this earlier today.
We're within Yorkshire Water's second hosepipe ban in 3 years because of the prolonged drought periods, and what we're seeing many of our nature reserves, particularly our wetland reserves, is obviously reduced water levels, and that's having an obvious effect on species of birds there. It's having an effect on the ecosystems because some of the small insect species don't have the water bodies where they can breed and survive. So it has that knock-on effect throughout the ecosystem. And for many of our grasslands, obviously they are heavily dependent on water, on rain, and many of the soils are drying out. The species are sort of reduced growth, so a lot of the plant species are suffering, and just that general diversity is really suffering because of the lack of water.
You know, there are one or two things we can do. We all know how dry our gardens are, but just think the insects, the birds, the hedgehogs, they're having quite a search to find any water at all. So just leave a saucer out with water, maybe a dustbin lid, and that could just help.
Absolutely, those little things can make such a big difference. Thank you, Paul. We'll hear from you again at the end of the programme. Now, do you recognise these Pokémon trading cards? There's certainly plenty in our house. Well, years after taking the UK by storm in the 90s, they're back and bigger than ever. And for one 12-year-old boy from Huddersfield, he's managed to battle his way to the Pokémon World Championships in California for a chance to win over £35,000. Johnny Reid has been to meet him.
It's the card game that gave the 90s one of their most recognisable slogans. And here at the Gemini Game Store in Huddersfield, a new generation of competitors are taking the world of Pokémon cards to a whole new level.
I mean, judging by the fact you'll look this game, I don't think you will.
One of them is 12-year-old Isaac, whose masterful battling skills have earned him a plane ticket stateside to compete in the Pokémon World Championships in California.
It's a little bit nerve-wracking because I'm obviously going to go to the World Championships. The best of the best juniors and seniors and masters, which are like the different age divisions, you get to go play all Pokémon in.
If you were to win, what would happen?
You'd get like a big trophy, and I think the max prize is like £50,000 or dollars, sorry.
It really helped bring him out his shell. He can be quite a quiet, sort of very quiet individual, but when you get him out to these sort of events, he's very sociable. He's made a lot of friends, not just in the UK, but throughout Europe.
Incredibly proud of him. He's done such a good job, and to represent the store and Huddersfield, in such a competitive game, it's really incredibly proud of him.
Now, when I was 12 years old, Pokémon cards were all the craze. We used to just trade with them, but now battling with them is back in fashion. And for all of you at home who are thinking, Poké what? Here's Isaac to explain how the whole thing works.
So at the start of a game, you're gonna shuffle your deck, and you're going to draw 7 cards. Then after you've done that, you're going to draw 6 of the cards, put them face down, and that's going to be your prize cards. So each time you take a knockout, you're going to take a prize card, and whoever takes all 6 prize cards first wins.
Did you get that? No, neither did I. But thankfully, Isaac does, as his focus now is firmly on victory at the championships in California. But back here in Yorkshire, as the world of Pokémon returns, don't be surprised if you start to hear that 90s slogan once again. Johnny Reid, BBC Look North, Huddersfield.
Well, we're far too old to talk about Pokémon cards, so I'm going to go straight to the weather.
You speak for yourself. A hot one tomorrow, Amanda.
Yes.
Let's start with looking at a couple of pictures, and it was, really, there was a lot of mist and fog in the Valley Bottoms. That's Wensleydale, of course, looking absolutely beautiful at around about 5:30 this morning, and not far from here, that's the River Yore, downstream from Wensleydale, looking very low, as you might imagine. As we've just discussed on the programme, there's some very low river levels across Yorkshire. If you've got any pictures you'd like to send in, we'll try and get them on the telly. The best ones on the telly tomorrow on X, on Instagram and on the Weather Watcher website. So the only way to describe tomorrow is a scorcher. As I said earlier in the programme, we look at 32.3 degrees. That was set. That's the hottest day of the year in Bramham. For Yorkshire as a whole, that was set in early July. We might just get a little bit above that tomorrow, but whichever way you look at it, it is going to be very hot. This is an interesting feature. It might trigger 1 or 2 thunderstorms Wednesday night into Thursday. Very isolated, but just look what happens. Again, it's happened again and again in the last 6 months. High pressure just moves back in behind, and that means it's going to be dry at least until the middle of next week, if not beyond. Now, we did have a lot of cloud, unforecast cloud, I have to admit. It didn't go to plan this morning. It actually brought 1 or 2 isolated downpours, especially across parts of South Yorkshire. That clump of clouds out into the North Sea. Behind it, it's relatively clear. So it's a nice evening, just the odd shower, most of us seeing some sunshine at times. And then overnight it looks dry and clear, just like last night. Some mist and patchy fog, and we'll see lowest temperatures down to 13 or 14 degrees. So tomorrow's high water times, what a day along the coast. Scarborough 7:23, Bridlington at 7:38. So any mistiness soon clearing, and then it's dry with long spells of sunshine, much less cloud compared with today. The heat might trigger the odd thunderstorm, especially across the Pennines, but most of us will be dry. And just look at these temperatures tomorrow afternoon, 32, 33 degrees. That's the low 90s Fahrenheit in the shade. But look at the coast, it looks beautiful, 24, 25 degrees. That's around the middle 70s Fahrenheit with a gentle onshore breeze. Thursday, a bit more cloud, the risk of the odd thunderstorm, temperatures drifting back. Friday the weekend, much of next week looks dry with plenty of sunshine and temperatures around 24, 25. That's the forecast.
Gosh, feeling very hot indeed. Thank you very much, Paul. That's it from us. Do have a lovely evening. We'll be back with your late news and weather at around 10:30. Goodbye.